Hello, welcome to Punk Rock Show Off. I'm Brandon Judd. Today we are looking at punk with an asterisk albums that are turning 20 this year, 2024. This is a long series of videos. You can see links to them at the end of the video if you want to check out the others. Also, some caveats up front. It's punk with an asterisk. Punk can mean a lot of things. Definitions change over time. Things evolve. And my tastes evolve, so my own idea of what punk is changes as well. So there's some stuff in here that maybe doesn't fit firmly into the punk genre. Let's fight about it in the comments. Go ahead and subscribe, and you can follow me and harass me through all the videos I post. Now, the other caveat to this is that it has to be in my collection. So there's stuff missing from this list, I'm certain. I'm actually going to call one out in this video. I didn't in the others, really. But it's got to be in my collection. If it's not in my collection, I don't really talk about it. That's what some other videos are for. And that's the thrill of the hunt, still ongoing with record collecting. So, let's kick it off. Albums turning 20 in 2024. This first one, Bad Religion. Of course, Bad Religion has been mentioned in several videos. They've been around a long time. They're very prolific. They put out a lot of albums. Now this album, The Empire Strikes First, it is their 13th. I thought it was really good when it came out. Now, I don't want to say this is one of the better late era Bad Religion albums because now it's 20 years old. But at the time it felt like late era Bad Religion. Now we know that's just kind of the middle. But I will say this about it. It has what I believe is my favorite and best Bad Religion song on it. Beyond Electric Dreams. I don't think they've written anything better than that. I think that's an amazing song. I was happy last year when I saw them, and that's back in the set list. It is a barn burner. It is a banger for the kids. Seriously, Beyond Electric Dreams, best Bad Religion song ever. This one still has cellophane on it because that's how I kept the box set. There's still cellophane on a bunch of those records. Didn't take it off. Next, well, I'll say this. Next would have been Blood Brothers Crimes, but look, I didn't buy that when it came out. I had that shitty CDR burned copy that had like the demos, the extra songs on it, and the different track order and stuff. Never picked up the vinyl. Now it's super fucking expensive. So please, I hope this gets a repress for the 20th anniversary. So, moving on. Descendants. Cool to Be You. This was their 6th album. This follows Everything Sucks from 1996. Now, I was just a little bit too young to see Descendants in 1996. I was in 6th grade and I just didn't make it. I started going to shows maybe a couple years later. Didn't get to see Descendants. Also, I got excited because I thought I was going to get to see Descendants because this album was coming out. They didn't tour on it. I didn't get to see them until 2011 at Riot Fest. But like every Descendants album, instant classic. They're amazing musicians. They write amazing music. And then lyrics with the frontman Milo, of course. He's the logo. They're great. Can't complain about this album at all. Up next, The Hives. Tyrannosaurus Hives, turning 20 this year. Of course, the Hives put out a new album last year. I think it's really good. I think the Hives are a really good band. That took a long time to get new music for them. But this was the follow-up to Veni Vidi Vicious, which was the big, huge breakthrough album. How everyone got to know the Hives, I'm certain. This album delivers. Everything on here is great. Walk Idiot Walk has one of the coolest bass lines that the Hives have. This one's still a favorite of mine. I do like to see these songs live when they play them. Walk Idiot Walk stays in the set list pretty much eternally now, but I'm glad these guys are still kicking. Up next, turning 20 in 2024. Punk with an asterisk, of course. Look, you guys love your folk punk. Let's get really deep into the folk part of that folk punk word, you know? Joanna Newsom, the Milk-Eyed Mender. Now, this is made out of harps and electric pianos and other things that don't often show up on punk rock albums. Think about this if it were made by crust punks in the Shire. She sounds like some sort of ethereal elf. I knew a guy that was into just like really weird stuff and he would play songs off this and I went and I bought it and I love the whole thing. It is so weird. And I mean that in a good way. It's in the best way. This is for your fans of like Neutral Milk Hotel, stuff like that. This falls into there, I think, pretty well. Another one, Punk with an Asterisk, mostly because this is As Me Without You was moving away from their more hardcore sound. This is their second album. They started doing more like a post-hardcore sound. And then eventually they end up like pure folk, and then they come out of it and mesh everything together. My college roommate played this album a lot right when it came out, and I kept hearing a song, Disaster Tourism, off of it. And I just fell in love. And I ended up, over this band's long career, I know we had to say goodbye like now more than a year ago, I think. We had to say goodbye to them, but I think I saw them more than a dozen times. Aaron Weiss is one of my favorite lyricists of all time. He's just really good at writing words, and that shines through really well on this album. Next, turning 20 in 2024, My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Now, I can tell you this, for a lot of people, this is a huge album. For me, it wasn't. I don't like My Chemical Romance. I was at Riot Fest this past year. I did not stay for My Chemical Romance. There were too many people. Why did I buy this album? Well, I'll tell you this. I saw My Chemical Romance in 2005 open for Green Day on the American Idiot Tour. We're going to talk about that in just a minute or two. They opened, they played 8 songs. I did not care, but there was one song I kept hearing in my head, and I went to look it up on the Google, and that was the opening track, Helena. They also opened their live shows with it at the time. Great song, fantastic song. It was enough that I shelled out $7 for this record on one of those like Amazon warehouse deals, whatever. Then I come to find out people were paying a lot of money for this record, but also apparently from what I've read, don't quote me on this, is that all of the pressings and like reissues of this album are terrible. Something I don't know if it comes through on the video well is that you can tell that the artwork is just kind of copy pasted from like an old file, like scanned and rescanned. It's not the original art. I mean, it's the original art, but I guess they didn't have like an original file or an original piece of it to actually use for this, so you can tell it's a little on a blurry side. Either way, this album, I can't tell you what the other songs sound like except for the big hit, I'm Not Okay, I Promise. Gotta be honest, did not follow this band, but they exist in my record collection, so here we are talking about it. Now, the next one, I hinted at this, obviously. It's been big for Green Day recently with the new album Saviors out. I'm pretty happy with it. I might talk about that more in another video, but real big for Green Day, 2004, American Idiot. This album, perfect. I love it. It's got some of Green Day's best songwriting on it. I really enjoy it. After Warning, it was kind of interesting to find out what Green Day was going to sound like, because Warning was more of an acoustic-driven album. It sounded a little different. It wasn't more straight ahead like Nimrod or Insomniac. It was just different. Now, the story and lore around this album about how it came to be is fascinating to me. There was a lot of debate, controversy among the fan community. What they said was, so they were working on an album, and somebody else already, plenty of other people made lots of videos about this, so I won't get too into it. But Green Day recorded an album of demos, maybe even a full, complete album called Cigarettes and Valentines. And then what they said was that that album, the masters, were stolen. Now, there's nothing that can corroborate this story except for the band, because in the earliest interview about American Idiot, when there was the first mention of it, Mike Dirnt said, we just decided that what we recorded wasn't good enough. But then after that, there was this whole story about how the master tapes got stolen. And then supposedly, even if they did get stolen, they just had copies and they re-recorded some stuff and they still had that Cigarettes and Valentines album. Now, I can't confirm any of that, really. It's all been rumors for the past 20 years. Maybe, since they had that 30th anniversary of Dookie set and the 25th anniversary of Nimrod come out, I hope this year we get a really expansive American Idiot set that has those Cigarettes and Valentines demos. Now, a lot of that stuff from Cigarettes and Valentines, from going through pictures of Green Day in the studio with lists of songs on the board that they're recording at the time, stuff like that, we know that some of those songs ended up being the network. We know that some of those songs made it into some other albums in different versions in the trilogy. and some in 21st Century Breakdown, etc. There might be some Cigarettes and Valentine's songs on Saviors now. We don't know. It's tough to call. But I do hope that they put out a really big, expansive box for this. Of course, I'm excited for the tour coming up this year for Saviors. They're playing Dookie and American Idiot front to back each night. That's a dream come true for me. Dookie live, front to back, amazing. American Idiot's going to be great too, because I love that album. But this is, of course, a landmark album for Green Day, of course, because, I mean, 1994, huge breakthrough with Dookie, and then they have Insomniac, Nimrod, Warning, and I love those albums. I'm a Green Day fan, and I'm hugely biased. I can find stuff to like on any Green Day album, I can assure you that. But they weren't the sort of breakthrough, influential, groundbreaking albums as Dookie was. And then they come and they put out this expansive rock opera with these suites, these song suites, where there's different parts to the songs, Jesus of Suburbia and Homecoming. And it's just different. It's quite different for Green Day, but they still sound like Green Day. They still sound great. Another part of the lore of this album is that it wasn't even intended to be a rock opera. It was, from what I recall, it was one of the producers in the studio who was like, hey, you know, you mentioned some characters in this. This can kind of tell a story if you put them together this way. And then they were like, that sounds great. Let's do that. Then there's the American Idiot rock opera, and then eventually the actual Broadway show. So they made a lot out of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing this album live. I think this album's great. So that does it for albums turning 20 in 2024. Punk with an asterisk. It could be lots of stuff. This is an ongoing series. I swear I'm going to have one more, I think. I'm going to lump a few anniversaries together, mostly because my collection is either lacking or the bands I like just didn't put out stuff 15, 10, and 5 years ago. So we're just going to make that one video. So stay tuned for the end of the video. You can check out links to other videos in this series. You can subscribe on my channel. You can follow me on all platforms, but Instagram is the main platform at Punk Rock Show Off. So until then, au revoir.